Hello, I'm Ivan, and welcome back to Dragon Dreams. Today on Dragon Dreams, we're going to talk about why I think the 9 alignment system doesn't work so well. So, this is the first in a series I'm going to do on alignments. And basically, I don't think that the 9 alignment system works as written. And I'm going to explain the first part of why I think that. Today, I'm going to be talking about good and evil. I'm going to save neutrality for another time because that's kind of a whole other video, I think. Let me preface this by saying that we're talking about morality in fantasy worlds that we're make-believing that our characters are in. So when we talk about morality, I don't think we really bring in our player concepts about the Enlightenment and democracy and stuff like that. I think basically I'm perfectly happy to have the suspension of disbelief that there could be good kingdoms and there could be bad kingdoms. Personally, I think democracy is always going to be better than a monarchy in the real world, but we're not talking about the real world, we're talking about our fantasy gaming. And in fantasy gaming, I think it's fun to imagine there could be a good kingdom like, King Arthur or, having like King Aragorn of Gondor or something like that, right? So let me start out by defining a few terms. And I think this is pretty standard for the way 9 alignment systems are classically described. So lawful is basically the concept, as I understand it, that obeying law and order in any given society is what a lawful person would do, and they would support such a society. Whereas a chaotic person is going to be opposed to a society in which law and order prevails. Good, I'm going to define as just doing what's best for everybody. I'm not going to get into some big, long philosophical debate about that because we're playing a game and we just need a simple definition. Evil, I'm going to define as being selfish to the point at which you're willing to harm other people to get your desires met, no matter how messed up those desires may be. I'm going to argue that there's no such thing as lawful good and chaotic good. There can't be. And I'm going to explain to you why I don't think a good person would ever be strictly lawful good or strictly chaotic good. So bear with me here. If you're a good person in a tyrannical society, you're going to oppose that society. If you're a good person in a good society, you're going to support that society. Always being lawful or always being chaotic will not always be good. Let me give you an example. Let's suppose it's the 4th age of Middle-earth. That is to say, Aragorn is the king of Gondor. And, you're probably going to support the king, right? Because he's good. Life is good. Sauron's been vanquished. Now, you might support the elf-dwarf friendship movement that Gimli and Legolas have founded. You might hold up signs saying it was a hobbit who saved Middle-earth. But at the end of the day, you're going to be a royalist. That is to say, you're going to support the crown, okay? Because that's what it would mean to be a good person. So, on the other hand, if Sauron won, you're going to be in the resistance, right? So it doesn't really make sense that you would ever be strictly lawful good or chaotic good. Whether you're lawful or chaotic is going to depend on the society that you're in if you're good. I'm going to argue that it doesn't make sense to be lawful evil or chaotic evil. That is to say, if you're evil, you never be purely lawful or purely chaotic. So if you are in a tyrannical society, you would probably put yourself in a position of power or try to get into one so that you can have your selfish desires met, no matter how you hurt people. On the other hand, if you're in a good society, you're probably going to be a criminal who's constantly trying to dodge the law so that you can do the same, right? So again, using our example of the fourth age of Middle-earth, you're probably going to be a criminal in Aragorn's reign because law and order reigns supreme. Aragorn's good. He's opposed to thievery or whatever it is you're doing, and he's going to stop you if he can, and you're going to try not to be caught. On the other hand, in the scenario in which Sauron won, you're probably going to worm your way into whatever position of power you can get in to oppress people and therefore get your desires met, right? So, therefore, I think it does not make sense that an evil person would be strictly lawful or strictly chaotic. It would depend on the society they live in. In a good society, they would be chaotic. In an evil one, they would be lawful. In conclusion, I think what I have demonstrated logically is that it's logically incoherent to be a good person who's always lawful or always chaotic. And likewise, it's logically incoherent to be an evil person who's always lawful or who's always chaotic. People are just going to be either good or evil. Again, I'm not going to talk about neutrality in this video. That's for another video. But assuming that you're either good or evil, that's that's what the alignments we're talking about. You're not actually going to be lawful or chaotic in either of those two situations for the reasons that I set out. So that is my opinion. I'd love to hear your opinions in the comments. And until next time, as always, happy dreaming, everybody.